Alice should have found the money to take the train instead. She lamented her prior travel decisions whilst cramped in the back corner of a commuter coach, the twice-a-day service from London Victoria to Egglemore Parkway. A low hum of chatter permeated the carriage, an amalgam of workers and tourists, their voices sporadically interrupted by onboard tannoy announcements. The same cycle of instructions on a loop: don't smoke, don't drink, don't eat, but in that corporate polite tone Alice had grown used to in her career as a journalist. The space was stuffy. A heavy cloud of body odor and stale breakfast items lingered at head height. She snatched a face mask from her handbag, snapped the strap around her ears, and took a deep, stifled breath. Her eyes traced the coach, sizing up her fellow passengers, painting a mental picture of their lives and adventures and reasons for traveling. How many of them had as important a reason as Alice to be on this journey? Probably none. A dozen or so students were dotted around the carriage, their youthfully optimistic faces and overstuffed backpacks giving them away. It was the start of the new university year, and Alice could bet on them being freshers. Excitement radiated from each one, the promise of late-night parties, social events, and drunken hookups burning brightly on the horizon. Alice could really use a cigarette, maybe something stronger. A nap would have to suffice. Her eyes were barely closed before the tannoy crackled, leaving a few seconds of dead air before continuing with the loop of instructions. "Can't ever sleep on these, darling," the man next to her interrupted. His face was sweaty, beads of salt water dripping from his brow onto vintage-looking frames. "Ah, okay," Alice started. "Well, I'm gonna try anyway. Enjoy your journey." The man ignored her tactful dismissal and hacked up some phlegm, ready to talk again. "I've taken this route for 5 years. Guess how many times I've slept?" Alice gently screwed her face up, trying to hide her disdain. "I don't know. 0? Well, about 3 times. 5 years is a while, you know, but the odds aren't in your favour, that's what I'm saying." As he talked, Alice could feel his body encroaching on her side of the chair divide. His shoulder was fighting for purchase, edging its way behind hers. "Well, thanks for the chat. I'm going to sleep now." Before he had a chance to speak up again, Alice popped in her earbuds and turned to face the window. Any protest to her attitude would have to fight for attention against some naughty's heavy metal. She grabbed a small bottle of hand sanitizer from her bag and cleaned her hands. A blur of grey buildings whipped past the window as the pastel sunrise faded into the clouds. Alice's mind was on Egglemore and the dichotomous relationship she had with the coastal city. In many ways, it reminded her of London. Lots of people. Opportunities if you're in the right industry, e.g. pharmaceuticals or tech. It also had a dark underbelly, a network of nightmares bubbling under the surface, just waiting to burrow out and bloom into disaster. It's the reason she'd spent so much time away from her hometown. The connections you have to the place you're born are like foundations in some ways. If they're built correctly, your foundations can prop you up for life, give you the ability to stand strong and weather the storms as they rain down. But if they're uneven, or worse, incomplete, it's only a matter of time until those cracks start to show. Alice didn't like to think of her foundations. They were intrinsically linked to Egglemore, and heading back felt like excavating her own life from the inside out. "Always running 10 minutes late. Why can't these things keep to time?" In the silent transition between songs, Alice could hear her talkative neighbour continue to complain, even without an audience. 3 minutes of his chatter felt like an hour had passed. She couldn't bear to imagine the toll a whole journey's worth would take. The heaviest metal wasn't going to drown out his droning.